Honorable Speaker, this bill, Honorable Speaker, of having the Kenya National Library Service Bill, Honorable Speaker, will be tailor-made to, Honorable Speaker, make sure that our youth are impacted with relevant knowledge, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I do support this bill 100%. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity.
Very well. The Honorable Session.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the Kenya National Library's Service Amendment Bill. And Honorable Speaker, as a country that is rapidly undergoing reform in many areas, and this amendment bill is key in realigning our library services in this country, and of course knowing very well that Kenya, in terms of education, in terms of global competitiveness, is doing very well and is #1 in Africa. And we need not lose track in that. And therefore, the National Library services that we have in this country go a long way in complementing the access to information by the general public and also by the students in this country. There's no doubt that with the passage of this bill, we will have a more robust library services in this country. And Honorable Speaker, it would be prudent in the spirit of devolution and even with envisaged more resources getting to the counties after the referendum, that one line area of social service that needs to be strengthened is the libraries. It would be prudent to have every county have a national library or even sub-counties that is accessible to all the youth. We have seen the development of youth centers. I think one great facility that would serve in strengthening the readership by the youth and the students of this country is a more expanded library service in this country. And Honorable Speaker, as we get down to digitalization of our economy, one area that needs also to be strengthened in terms of digitalization and access is the library service. I believe this is one area that as a country, it will be expanded, and so that, and of course, the students and the users who now almost everybody is on digital devices. We should be able to access all manner of books and information through this process. Honorable Speaker, I support this bill.
The Honorable Adagala. The Honorable Adagala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I wasn't ready for this one.
Very well. Well, the Honorable Adagala. We shall move on. The Honorable Rono Kipkoge, Member Keio South.
Yes. I'm very ready, Honorable Speaker.
Back your mask, the Honorable Kipkoge.
Honorable Speaker, I don't have corona.
The Honorable
I'm keeping a social distance.
The Honorable Rono Kipkoge.
Okay.
There are things that we shall joke about and things that we shall not joke about. This issue about corona is not about whether you have it or you don't have it. It is not you to say whether you have it or not. When you wear this gadget, the mask, you show confidence to the others who are around you that they are safe around you. It is not about you. So just put it on.
With humility, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Proceed.
I stand guided. I only thought social distance is good enough. Nevertheless, Honorable Speaker, Kenya National Library Services. I want to support Honorable Sankok, who said this is bringing back the reading culture in Kenya. It is very important. If you look around, particularly our youth, they are glued on TV, they are glued on telephones, on things that do not even add any knowledge to them. So it's very important that we actually strengthen these surveys. Also, Honorable Speaker, I also want to stand with the information given by our NAT boss there, who said we need to go deeper into the counties, but I am of the view that we go even further to the constituencies, and after that to the wards, because this is reading culture. Information is king. And where information is king, then we need to strengthen that. Also, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Kipkoge, just hold on. The Honorable Wangwe seems to have a point of order.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker is my very good colleague and MP for, and the MP. In order to say that the NAT boss talking from here, I'm not aware, and maybe if you could inform the House that we have a NAT boss in this House, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
A land what?
NAT boss.
A NAT boss?
Yes. Kenya Union of Teachers boss.
Yes, we have Honorable Soshon. Yes, he is here. And he is also, on top of that, a member of parliament, but what he is, first and foremost, a NAT boss. Honorable Speaker, may I continue? Before I was rudely interrupted, Honorable Speaker, I've even lost my...
The Honorable Member for KU, as you regather your thoughts, the Honorable Soshon seems to have something to say about whether he is the boss or not.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I have been referred to by the Honorable Member for Chaos South as the NAT boss. Kenya National Union of Teachers boss. Honorable Speaker, I confirm that I'm the duly elected Secretary General of Kenya National Union of Teachers and duly registered. That is public knowledge. Yeah.
Very well.
And so I'm the boss.
I thought so. I thought so. Proceed, member for KU South. You are in order.
Thank you for informing the House, Honorable Soshon, because this is the information we are talking about in these libraries. Because it would appear some people don't even know who is the Kenya National Union of Teachers Secretary General. Even our members of Parliament, Honorable Speaker, needs to be visiting our library because they also have that shortage of knowledge. Further to that, Honorable Speaker, is that the other day, a youth was asked, who is the president of Kenya? And he shot up and said, it is Honorable William Ruto. So you see, this is information that people are lacking. Yes, we know Honorable Ruto is well known, but I mean, we need these libraries so that people can have information. So, because as I had said earlier, information is king. And if we have to push this information, we have to spread as much as possible the national libraries in Kenya. I support, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Member for KU South, you posit that it will be necessary for our children to go to libraries to learn who the president, sitting president of the country is. But that is well. The Honorable Makali, Dr. Makali.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving this opportunity also, Mr. Speaker, to add my voice to this important bill. Honorable Speaker, looking at the main object of this bill, it is clear that it is being said it is targeted at promoting all forms of national cultural expression through literature, the arts, traditional celebrations, science, communication, information, mass media, publications, libraries, and other cultural heritage. Mr. Speaker, this objective is very important to this country because many times, Honorable Speaker, Kenyans have been accused of not being very keen on reading. And there is this common saying, Honorable Speaker, that if you want to hide your money, you can put it in a book because it's common that not many people will open that book and your money will be safe. So, Honorable Speaker, this bill will go a long way in promoting that culture of reading. And I think it's a very important bill, Honorable Speaker. Looking at the bill, you realize that it's also talking about the institutional framework in terms of this Kenya Library, National Library Service. It says clearly how the service will be constituted, in terms of how the board will be constituted, Honorable Speaker. It also clearly states what are the qualifications of the board members. And Mr. Speaker, when you look at the function of the Kenya National Library Service, there are two which really are attractive to me as an individual. If I were to quote, Honorable Speaker, among the functions, each of the many functions says establish the national webcard to publish catalogs for all the libraries. Honorable Speaker, the idea of having a webcard is very good for this country because we know, Honorable Speaker, many Kenyans now are able to access the internet. Most of us as honorable members, we have what we are calling the apps in our constituencies where the youth can come and are able to access many things in the internet. So when we see this move to have webcards, Honorable Speaker, it is obvious that many Kenyans will be able to access a lot of information relating to science, arts, and all those other issues, Mr. Speaker, more likely even from the houses. Another interesting function, Honorable Speaker, is where it says establish and maintain a national virtual library service. The issue of virtual, Mr. Speaker, we are not talking about virtual meetings. So when we talk about a virtual library, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure you know what we're talking about. In these times of coronavirus, and we don't know what will be coming in the future, Mr. Speaker, I think this is the way to go. So this bill has captured what I will call the contemporary issues relating to matters library. Honorable Speaker, reading through this bill, it also talks about the staff who will be able to work in these libraries. And Honorable Speaker, it's unfortunate that most of the counties in this country actually don't have functional libraries. Despite us talking about very high literacy levels in this country, you find we don't have functional libraries. And Mr. Speaker, the idea of even having this service, get libraries at the level of the county levels, Mr. Speaker, is a good idea because it will ensure that many young people will be able to access these libraries and be able to do much more research relating to what they do, Honorable Speaker. So the fact that they are now determining what qualifications required for the staff working in those libraries, I think is very, very good for the country, Honorable Speaker. The other matter, Honorable Speaker, is the resourcing of this service in terms of money. After getting the human resource, there's also need for financial resource. And Honorable Speaker, it's very clear that this library service, just like all other sagas in the government, will be able to submit budgets like another parastatal 3 months to the end of the financial year. And the budget will be discussed the way we discuss budgets for parastatals, so that in terms of financial resources, they are well resourced, Honorable Speaker. And at the end of the day, this will confirm that we have a library service which can serve Kenyans as per their expectations. So, Honorable Speaker, to me, this House needs to fast-track this bill so that at the end of the day, we'll be able to have this service in place. And there's already something, but now a more effective library service in place. Mr. Speaker, I know this bill will be proceeding to the Senate after the National Assembly because it also touched on the counties. So my humble appeal to the Senate is also that when it gets there, the House business of the Senate will be able to allocate time for this bill so that both houses pass the bill. And as a result of that, then it could be given the final signature to become law. So, in short, Honorable Speaker, I'm just saying that this law, this proposed bill, is good for this country, and it will promote the culture of reading so that Kenyans can read more and become more knowledgeable in terms of science, in terms of arts, in terms of music, and all other things which are captured under this bill. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support. Thank you.
The Honorable Mwangi Mburu, member for Lari.
Thank you, Speaker. There was some interruption from the other speaker here on his way out. But we are on the Kenya National Library Bill. And as the other speakers have spoken, I want to support the bill. And I have to support that information has to flow to everybody. And information has to be the correct information. So when you have many libraries,
Ask correctly.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, sir. I have to protect the others, especially Honorable Chepkut, who is nearby. I have to protect him. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, as I was saying, information is power, and we must always have the correct information, and we must devolve information. We must promote the culture of reading. We must promote the culture of going to the libraries. So, because now even our kids are becoming very unsocial. Every time they're just watching things on their phones, on their TV, and the culture of reading is going down and down. And we're always told that we must promote this culture because it builds the brain. So, as the other speakers have spoken, I support the bill.
Very well. The Honorable Ombaka, member for Siaya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Just like all of us here, library is very important for those who want to promote education, and education is power. And part of education is to have a library. A library is very, very important, especially the type that is being proposed in this bill, where even the board is highly educated. They're all graduates, they're people with great experience, and they can run, they have skills in management. I looked at even the composition of the board. It is gender sensitive as well. You realize that if the board is weak, if the board is not well educated, then even the running of the library can be very, very challenging. And so I do support the fact that the qualifications for the members of the board is high, is very, very high.
Dr. Ombaka.
Yes.
The mask, please.
Okay. Qualifications of members of the board is very high, and it's highly appreciated. Secondly, we do have colleges and universities in the counties. A lot of them don't have libraries. They have really just a room where some little few books are kept. This kind of library is going to promote the image and the opportunities in those, for students in those institutions to have access to information that is up to date, that is modernized, and they will be up to date with the information. Lastly, the rural colleges and schools, we have to think twice for them, even though this is a very good bill, which will promote and encourage libraries in the villages or in the counties. We still need to improve our Kenya Power must be there all the time and ensure that the power that we have, Kenya Power, it can run 24 hours a day instead of getting some blackouts, and then sometimes we are not able to utilize the services that the library is going to engage or to offer to the public. So otherwise, this is a very good bill, and I support it highly as an educationist. Thank you.
The Honorable Tum Chebet, member for Nandi, and the Honorable Meli. I see you wearing your mask improperly. Just, honorable members, this mask is not for anyone. It's just for you and for all of us. If we can just maintain it until such a time that all of us will be comfortable not to wear it, nobody really wants to wear it. but let us show a good example. The Honorable Tum, proceed.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, I stand to support this motion. We have to inculcate reading culture in our youth. There is a lot of drunkenness, alcoholism amongst the youth. So we have to establish a national library which is well equipped. There is the issue of preservation of traditional culture. So this national library will encourage publications in traditional languages so that our children will not forget our cultures. So I really support this. There is also the issue of advisory services. This national library will be an advisory center to all the libraries in Kenya, including the libraries in our universities. So, Honorable Speaker, we need to inculcate reading culture. Honorable Speaker, this will be a legal entity which is able to ask for loans, gifts, and revenue from the National Assembly. So it will be one of the best equipped libraries, like in other developed countries where you can go, like this place, a library is 15 times or 30 times the chambers of the National Assembly. So if you want to read for 20 days, you cannot even consume the books which are there. So it will also have catalogs which can assist all our universities. So there is need to establish a national library in Kenya. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir.
The Honorable Oyula Mairo, member for Butula.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this very important bill. Mr. Speaker, provision of libraries in constituencies and counties is a very important move to improve on education for our children. Mr. Speaker, this bill comes at the right time. If you recall, Mr. Speaker, we used to have mobile libraries some years back. These were discontinued. And as a result, there has been no library services in most of the centers in the constituencies or in the counties. Mr. Speaker, this bill comes at the right time, and it's going to encourage the youth who have been idling to spend most of their times in libraries. Mr. Speaker, this will also encourage, we should also encourage availability of provision of relevant books in the libraries. I hope that the National Library Services team will be advised to take that line to ensure that books are provided in libraries. First, get the libraries constructed in every county or sub-county. Then, make sure that all the libraries are equipped with necessary books. Mr. Speaker, this bill, if approved, will be a very important line for encouragement of education in our counties. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, support this bill and would ask all the honorable members to support it fully. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Jaldesa Dida, member Isiolo.
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to also support this very important bill. Mr. Speaker, as has been said by my colleague, the importance of a national library cannot be more ever emphasized. Mr. Speaker, as has been said, we have been having a poor reading culture in this country, and I think it is a high time now we start focusing on how to encourage our people into reading. Mr. Speaker, more specifically, I'm supporting because I'm encouraging the National Library function to be devolved in all counties equally. Because some of our counties, Mr. Speaker, we still do not have the National Library. And the importance is it will create job opportunities, as has been said. It will reduce the burden on parents in that students can go and borrow books from library instead of buying books, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it will also provide an opportunity where people can go and study silently without disturbance. And Mr. Speaker, most of the rural setup, you will find homes are crowded and students do not get opportunity to really concentrate and study. With the libraries everywhere, then we will have an opportunity to have serious students, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it will also give our students opportunity to do proper research from books. Mr. Speaker, sometime I went to China and I saw YouTube does not work there because they encourage their students to dig deep into books instead of getting shallow information from internet. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I really want to emphasize on the need to make sure that we do not only have nice libraries in big cities, in big towns, but we have library, at least a modern library, in all the 47 counties and at least in sub-counties. Mr. Speaker, as I finish, I also want to say that the young people are faced with many challenges, as I said before. The challenge of getting information, the challenge of doing proper research. Mr. Speaker, that is why, much as we fairly compete within the East African, when you go out there, for some of us who have taken our children out, the kind of research that are done by students, Mr. Speaker, I think compared to ours, really, we need to invest in research and proper research, such that we have leaders who can critically think about issues, so that we have leaders who can really, reflect. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, without much ado, I want to support this bill. Thank you.
The Honorable Martin Owino.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the concept of having library was started a long time ago in this country, and it is just unfortunate that we don't follow through what we initiate to the latter. But I'm rising to support this bill because we may catch up with time. Mr. Speaker, the concept of library at this time and age is not only to read print media or print materials. It has been loaded with so many things that can help our children. And not only the children, Mr. Speaker, we are talking also of an adult population. Mr. Speaker, vibrant brain prevents lots of old age diseases. Even parents can go and also have a good time in reading. Mr. Speaker, this library concept, I would like it to be funded well so that it can be cascaded to the constituency, even the wards, because we are talking of access. Having them in town would also limitize the other people to reach it. Otherwise, it will build strong communities in terms of recreational and academic environment. Mr. Speaker, nowadays, people do not interface with each other. They interface with phones. And that's why we are losing connectivity with human beings and even the natural environment, which I think if this bill is passed and implemented well, will bring back. There is also the element of conducive environment. I think one member have alluded to this. Not many homes have the luxury of space, of power, and quiet environment to read. And I think in families which are impoverished like that, we'll have an opportunity to go and have a quiet time somewhere else. There is also some programs which they have loaded into modern libraries, like holding career development sessions, so kids can choose which career to do. Mr. Speaker, in other activities in libraries includes the ICT world, which are now opening and introducing kids to do business in cloud, even learn how to do business in cloud. And I think that will be very important. But I also want to say that in my constituency, I have a database for those who are looking for employment. Most of them have done library science, and there is nowhere where they can get jobs. So ideally, this will promote job creation for young people so that they can further this career. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support this bill. I think it is timely, yes, but it's overdue. Thank you.
Honorable members, I'm sure you must be aware that this country has incurred, has just built a national library just here in Upper Hill at a huge cost, I think, of $1 billion. And I would like to encourage members to visit it so that even as we think about spreading it to the counties and to the constituencies, we have utilized and patronized the one that we have here in the city and which members can access. The Honorable Shaban, member for Taveta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I also want to just add my voice that the Kenya National Library Service is a very important service. And some years back, as we were growing up, we used to see some certain small libraries in the towns. But when you go to the rural areas, you not find those facilities. Honorable Speaker, I think a lot has been said about this, but I just want to point out that one of the functions of this Kenya National Library Service would be to establish a center for books to promote reading, writing, and publishing in local languages, traditional knowledge and culture, information and advice, advocacy, book development, and easy access to books. Honorable Speaker, I just want to point out that it's only the early childhood development education, which is actually the mandate of the counties. Yet, these libraries now, which education is actually a national, it's a serious national function. Because it's a serious national function, it's a pity that the public libraries, the community libraries and the public libraries have actually been left to the counties. And I don't think to the counties are looking at it like a very serious function, considering that they're just concerned about early childhood development. I would say this Kenya National Library Service would come in very handy, and especially if it is going to go to the sub-county level, rather than the constituency level, and work in partnership with members of parliament, so that we can have these Kenya National Library Services being brought down to our students and our pupils right at the constituency level. Mr. Speaker, sir, I do believe that the culture of reading has been eroded. Over the years, our children are now busy on internet, they're busy looking at pornography, they're busy on Facebook and actually generally the social media, and it's not for the purpose of studying or getting into this culture, the reading culture, but it is for purposes of trying to learn the wrong things. Why? Because they've been left without anywhere to turn to be able to read. So they're forced to go into those funny sites to look at what is not necessary for them. Mr. Speaker, sir, I do believe if this Kenya National Library Service is well funded from our budgets, I do believe we can easily partner with them at the constituency level so that we can have these libraries that can be developed at the constituency level and they can be useful to our people. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to support.
The Honorable Nangabo, member for Trans Nzoia.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa nafasi hii, pia kuchangia kwa mjadala huu wa maktaba katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, vile wanenaji wa kwanza wamesema, ni muhimu tukue na maktaba katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni ukweli watoto wetu wameharibika, ni kwa sababu hawajapata nafasi ya kwenda angalau kwenda kusoma katika maktaba mahali popote. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, wengi wamerudi kufuta bangi, wengine wamerudi kwenda tu kukunywa pombe. Mheshimiwa Spika, na Mheshimiwa Spika, nilitembea nchi ya ng'ambo kule England na nikaingia katika maktaba katika nchi hiyo na nikaona kwamba imekuwa na vifaa ama vitabu zile zinatosha kabisa za kusema hata historia katika nchi hiyo na hata historia ya viongozi katika hiyo nchi. Mheshimiwa Spika, na ndipoza kama sisi pia tutapitisha mjadala huu, Mheshimiwa Spika, itakuwa ni vyema kwetu kwa sababu watoto wetu hawataumia na hata wazee wetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sababu ukiona katika nchi yetu ya Kenya saizi, kila mtu ama mtoto anataka achukue kitu nyumbani auze ndiposa akuwe na simu ya rununu. Na vile Mheshimiwa Daktari Mheshimiwa Shabani amesema, hao watoto, Mheshimiwa Spika, hawaitumii hizi simu hizi kwa njia iliyo bora. Wanaichukua na kweli wanaangalia picha zenye ziko na mambo yenye sio sahihi. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, ninaona ni vyema vile wanasema kwamba ni ya kitaifa, maktaba hii ni ya kitaifa, ninaona ni heri pia tukue nazo nyumbani. Hata vile umesema kwamba tuko na moja yao katika Nairobi hapa. Mheshimiwa Spika, unaona kwamba hao watoto ama watu kutoka kule sehemu za nyumbani hawatapata nafasi ya kuangalia kwamba hii maktaba yenye iko katika huku kwa kitaifa iko namna gani. Ni vyema tukue nazo kule chini. Hata sisi pia kama viongozi tutatumia hiyo nafasi kuhamasisha watu kusema kwamba tukitaka kuwa wasomi wazuri, tukitaka hata kufanya kazi mzuri, ama tukitaka kusema kwamba huenda ikawa mtu ako na kipawa ya kufanya kitu fulani, Mheshimiwa Spika, itakuwa ni vyema ni kwamba ameenda katika hiyo maktaba na amehakikisha kwamba amepata ujuzi ama anasoma vizuri na ndiposa atakuwa naelewa kitu. Mheshimiwa Spika, vile wamesema boti ya kuhusu hii maktaba, hiyo ni vyema kwa sababu imeweka kila mtu katika nafasi hiyo, na ni vizuri Mheshimiwa Spika kwa sababu watakuwa ni watu wale wamehitimu na watakuwa wanasaidia katika hizo maktaba kuhakikisha kwamba watu wenye wanaenda katika maktaba hiyo wanapata nafasi mzuri ya kusoma na kuelewa ni nini wanasoma. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, shida yangu ni kwamba utekelezaji wa hii mswada zile tunapitisha katika bunge letu, unaona kwamba inachukua muda mno kuhakikisha kwamba imetekelezwa. Na iwapo itatekelezwa, Mheshimiwa Spika, nafikiria itakuwa ni nafuu kwetu sisi viongozi na hata kule nyumbani wale watu sisi tunawakilisha. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, nakumbuka nikikuwa katika shule ya upili tulikuwa tunakuwa na hizi maktaba, lakini unaona kwamba silikuwa na vitabu hiyo ya historia, ama wenda ikawa ukifanya mambo ya languages, Mheshimiwa Speaker, inakupata kwamba unasoma hiyo katika maktaba hizo, lakini hatukukuwa na vitabu za kutosha enzi zile. Lakini wapo tunakuwa nazo kama wakati huu, Mheshimiwa Speaker, wengi tutakuwa pia tunafahamu, na inatusaidia pia kujua mambo mengi katika jamii zetu na hata katika mienendo zetu. Mheshimiwa Speaker, nataka niseme asante na niseme ninaunga mjadala huu mkono, Mheshimiwa Speaker.
The Honorable Obo Mohammed, member for Lamu.
Asante Bwana Spika kunipatia hii nafasi. Maktaba ni muhimu sana tuwe nazo, na zitatusaidia kuwa na uzoefu au desturi ya kusoma, ambapo kuepusha na mambo mengi ya ushetani. Time yako ile ambao unaweza kuitumia kwa maktaba inaweza kupunguzia mambo mengi zaidi kwa wale vijana tulionao. Lakini zikitengezwa maktaba ziwe ni maktaba sio jina. Ziwe maktaba za kiwango cha hali ya juu. Maktaba hizo ziwe na mambo mengi, hata upande wa kompyuta zinafaa kuwa hapo ndani. Hizi maktaba zikiwa, sisi watu wa Lamu zitatusaidia sana. Maana yake katika youth walioharibika zaidi ni kwetu Lamu. Youth, vijana wameingia kwenye mihadharati, ukienda ukiona watoto wetu wanasinzia. So ikipatikana njia yoyote kama hii itaweza kusaidia wale watoto wetu. Ni mambo ya kusikitisha, tunang'ang'ana, lakini bado kunahitaji kung'ang'ana zaidi. Na chochote kinachopangwa kwenye serikali isiwe kupangwa vile inavyopangwa kwamba kila eneo bunge lipate maktaba moja. Tukumbuke mazingira na maeneo Mwenyezi Mungu alivyotuumba. Sisi kule Lamu tunafaa watu waende wakatuangalie, manake sehemu nyingi ni visiwa. Tuseme kiambiwa sisi tuna maeneo bunge mawili na ziwekwe maktaba mbili, pia yanakuwa matatizo. Mtu akitoka Kiunga tuseme aje kisiwa cha Pate ni shilingi 2,000. So huwa haitatusaidia. Sasa zile sheria zinazopangwa zikipangwa sawa sawa, tuseme kama hapa Nairobi kuna maeneo bunge 17. Kila eneo bunge ikipata maktaba kwao ni sawa. Lakini sisi tuna maeneo bunge mawili, lakini hata maktaba 10 hazitutoshi. Manake ukimtoa mtu Boni, msitu wa Boni, umwambie njoo kisiwa cha Pate, hakuna usafiri wa kawaida. Usafiri ni lazima utukue wako, ukodishe boti uende. So ni lazima tujuane na tuelewane na tuwaelewe watu wengine kwamba maeneo yao Mungu alotuumba ni tofauti. Lakini hatulalamiki kwamba yale maeneo ni magumu, hapana. Kwa sababu Mwenyezi Mungu ameyaumba vile, kuna manufaa mengine pia tumepata. Kama sisi ukitaka kutengeza mradi wa Lapset haungeweza kutengezwa Nairobi. Lazima utengezwe Lamu kwa sababu sisi tuna bahari. So na pia tukipata hizi rasilimali tusiwe tutajifikiria sisi kama mfano Nairobi, Mombasa, mufikirie na Lamu iko hivyo. Tutembee tuone zile sehemu ziko vipi, ndio sote tujihisi wa Kenya. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Yes, one second. The Honorable Mwalio Mbithi, member for Masinga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity that I would like to hear my view on the bill of the National Library Bill. First, I would like to say that we have forgotten the reading culture, which the old people had already adapted, because things have changed. The digital era has come, and it has brought a lot of things and changes. And especially the young people, you'll find that some are not very keen on reading the books. They want to read through their computers. They want to read from the internet, and therefore they are not willing, and they should be encouraged to go to the libraries. I remember when we were young and we were reading in schools, we used to go to the libraries and you could do your own research. Whatever was difficult for you, you could only get it in the library. And therefore, this should be encouraged. And because that is where many people have done researches. Their researches have been placed in the libraries. And therefore, whatever you don't know or you want to know, you can go there and pick the book, read those books, and earn more knowledge. Because especially for us who are growing old now and who are leaders, we need a lot of knowledge to be able to educate the people that we lead, because we should be more informed than those you are leading, so that you can be able to teach them many of the things that they do not know. It is also a good thing to keep the youth busy in the library when they are reading, and also they earn their knowledge, because nowadays you find them, they are just in the market centers doing a lot of nothing. But if there is a library nearby, you can be able to pick a few books and read for yourself and be able to keep yourself busy and forget about the laziness that some of them have been able to put in themselves. For example, we have been able to put the ICT centers in the constituencies. I have seen a lot of interest through the youth, because they take their phones, they take their laptops, and they go sit near the ICT centers, and they start reading and browsing and applying for jobs. Some are doing exams, they do exams through their computers. And therefore, if a library could be available, rather than the ones that are in the school, because a non-school going cannot be allowed to go to the library in the school because he's an outsider. But a library that is open for all will encourage people to read and to be able to keep themselves happy and busy. In conclusion, I support the bill. And even if it cannot be able to be built in all the constituencies, I support the idea of having one, especially in the headquarters of the counties, so that when that is done, then the interest can be created, and then many others can be even built in some of the constituencies. Also, it is something that we should encourage ourselves. The CDF should be able to build also libraries. We should be given a leeway to build some libraries in some of the centers, the multipurpose hall centers, so that we keep our people informed, we keep our young people busy, we keep the old people also knowledgeable, so that we can be able to even create some jobs. Because there are some people who are so idle, they are so learned, they cannot be able to get jobs. As a member has said that some people have done the librarians, they are unable to get jobs. And therefore, I support the bill, and I encourage that the government will put a budget so that we can have some libraries around. And also, we as members of parliament, we can make use of the library that is already built up here, and also the others in Nairobi here, Nairobi Center. And the other day I went there and I found a nice book that I was looking for, and I realized that we have just neglected so many books that are lying idle in the libraries that we can make use of. For those few remarks, I support.
The Honorable Koske, member for Chepalungu.
Thank you, Speaker.
I stand to support this bill simply because libraries plays a fundamental role in society, as it is a gateway to knowledge and culture. Libraries, Speaker, are synonymous with education because it offers countless learning opportunities that can fuel economy. It helps to preserve cultural heritage. Mahatma Gandhi said, "No culture can live if it attempts to be exclusive." Honorable Speaker, distant learning students can be able to access information through libraries because they might not be having time to go to school fully, or if they are working class, they are able to visit libraries when they are not at work. Honorable Speaker, it makes education equal for all. That means books can be equipped in libraries, and it will help those students coming from humble background because they are able to access books which otherwise could not be able to be acquired for them by their parents. BWDs, Honorable Speaker, still are able to get quite a number of skills because they are able to access books and teaching aids in libraries. With the advancement of new technology, Honorable Speaker, it's also very possible that we equip libraries with computers, and selected information can be installed depending on the areas or field of studies by individuals. Honorable Speaker, library supports research through journals, research reports, and other publications. And this is also very important for students who are at higher level of education. I want to support this bill, Honorable Speaker, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on the same. Thank you, Speaker.
The Honorable Kibiwot Meli, member for Tindred.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this bill. And Honorable Speaker, I also want to laud the proponent, Honorable Dwale. This is a very, very important bill. This bill seeks to operationalize the 2010 Constitution on the issues of knowledge, especially as a through library, as a repositories. Honorable Speaker, you'll realize that across the world, Kenya included, we are at the age of information. It is at the age of where knowledge is supposed to be disseminated in various forms. Honorable Speaker, if you look at a number of countries, we have had different kinds of libraries. Libraries are there, for example, to keep and disseminate historical information, origin of societies, origin of man and all the other species that are on this planet. Libraries actually keeps to update us, the current generations, of where we came from. Honorable Speaker, you'll realize that a number of libraries, especially the cultural libraries that are very famous in China, in the US, and various parts of the world, actually assist the current generation to learn from what the earlier people used to do. Honorable Speaker, you'll realize that the various presidential libraries in the US, each leader, starting from all those years of Truman, Eisenhower, and others, have had very good presidential libraries that are actually acting as repositories for what they did in office, and therefore enabling the current leaders and even the current generation to learn from them on how they handle particular crises and even how they handle particular issues that affected them. So, Honorable Speaker, when this bill is going to assist us to not only get knowledge, but to only learn and get a lot of information on what has been going on in our societies. Look at research libraries, and I want to say look at even the kind of information that we can get. A number of innovations and inventions have been done as a result of information from the online journals, and a number of inventors have actually gotten a lot of information through the library system. So as much as we still talk about the old culture of reading books and reading magazines, there is a lot of information, even on audio libraries. Honorable Speaker, you've just alluded a few minutes ago about our National Library at the Upper Hill. That in itself will assist even in the individuals who do not have money to move to the online system and access information, but they can use the online library system at the Kenya National Library Services to have a lot of information for their own use. There are certain issues that we need to do as a country. That one, that when we provide these libraries across the constituencies and across counties, it is not even an idling where people go and idle about, where they don't, when they don't have anything to do, you just go there. But it is going to even change the thinking, the behavior, and even the way the society has actually developed the reading culture. You'll realize that in this country, the reading culture is quite very low. Very few people, and I want to say even within our setup, very few people read information. But if we are going to develop the national library services across the country, even at the constituency level, even at the market level, even at the smallest town, Honorable Speaker, people will now know the importance of reading, will also know the importance of availing information. Some of us, for example, or some individuals in the villages could not even be able to read. They could actually avail the audio kind of information, that they will be able to get information through the Bible, through the Quran, and through all forms in audio form. Those who cannot read, they can also get through the Braille system. So this is a very important bill, Honorable Speaker, and it is actually very important that let the government invest in it. If the government is going to put a lot of resources into this, it is going to enable even young individuals who have no resources to even come out with the new innovations. A number of young Kenyans, especially the innovators, have developed their innovations through university libraries. I think I remember a number of young Kenyans have been even able to develop, we have the M-Pesa money transfer system. It was as a result of young students. So I'm asking that as much as we are talking about spreading these library systems, let us make sure that we put a lot of money in it so that by the end of the day, we'll have enough resources across the constituencies and across the villages and enable this country move forward. And Honorable Speaker, as much as we are putting libraries across, let's also learn to have national museums side by side, those particular national libraries, so that they will be able to also act as centers of knowledge and centers of information. With that, I support Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
The Honorable Odepe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to add my voice on what already the honorable members have said concerning the library. But Honorable Speaker, before I spoke on the importance of the bill, let me first talk about the Kenya National Library Services. Honorable Speaker, this is an institution that our taxes maintain. In Turkana County, we have 6 sub-counties. None of them we have a library that has been built or established by Kenya National Library Services. So I would like to take this opportunity to alert Kenya National Services Library to know that there's a county called Turkana that needs its services because you also pay the taxes. Second, I need also the Kenya Library to know we have pastoralists in this country, that they need its services. they need to have mobile library to move with the pastoralist students so that they too can get knowledge or they can get the benefits of having this institution in this country. Honorable Speaker, now that I have mentioned that one, and I hope it will reach the people concerned, let me talk about the importance of having library in every county. Honorable Speaker, knowledge is power. There's an honorable member who said that there was a child who asked, who is the president of this Republic of Kenya? The student said, Honorable William Samoei Ruto. And we laughed. Actually, that's what is in some people's mind. Some people don't know some things. But when we have such kind of facility at their disposal, this student can know who is the president, who is the deputy president. Second, Honorable Speaker, members have spoken about the research. You can't believe in Turkana County, the scholars who have come from that county, they come to Eldoret to seek library services so that they can do their research. Honorable Speaker, if we can have these services in Turkana County, many of our scholars can enjoy these services at their disposal, and they can cut cost of traveling to Eldoret to come and do their research. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of mass media, it's an important tool to be used by our children. At the same time, it's also a bad tool. But for the child to get communicated to other students outside Kenya, we must have these services closer to them so that they can be familiar with outside Kenya by communicating with other students outside this country. Honorable Speaker, another thing that I need this service to put into consideration, the content. What the Kenya Library Services will put in those libraries. Honorable Speaker, I was privileged to travel to China. And when we went to those institutions, China has put their culture information in every computer. Their history, their culture, their background, their leaders. So we need to see that if we want our children to know their culture, the Kenya National Library must put, we have 47 tribes in this country. So we must have every tribe, history, culture, and even their beliefs in those libraries so that a child can know a Turkana person what he believes, the culture of the Maasai, the culture of Pogot, the culture of other tribes. Because some of our children are born in town, they don't know other cultures. But if we can have libraries in counties, they can learn other cultures before they go to universities. They will be familiar when they meet them. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of discussion and sharing information, libraries are very important. During study, the student can have time to meet together and discuss and share information. And this will help them so that each one of them can know from the other students. So it will encourage actually discussions and sharing of information. And all of them will come up while knowing things. Finally, Honorable Speaker, this one has been repeated by many members of Parliament. Reading culture in this country. Even for the Christians, if you want to know Christians are reading the Bible, put something in the Bible and tell them, go and read. They will never read. And they will never get that gift when you put inside the Bible. So it's my prayer that this will encourage our children to read, because if we will expose them to that culture of reading by bringing the library near to them. And this will make them knowledgeable. You know, I agree with the people who are saying sometimes the YouTube pump information to the child without working hard. You know, during our time, we were going physically looking for a book for a particular subject so that you can read it by yourself. And you can get many books and you put on your table so that you can go through all of them. But YouTube It pumps information without you working hard. And that also makes our children lazy. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to say that I support the bill, but I want to encourage Kenya National Library Services to put a library in Turkana County. Thank you. I support.
Very good contribution, the Honorable Member for Turkana South. And I still do read the physical books. I prefer them to the digital ones. The Honorable Manje, Member for Kajiado North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving this opportunity to contribute to this motion. I want to support this bill that is the Kenya National Library Service Bill 2020, which is repealing the National Library Boards Act. And say it is coming up at a time when it is now a body corporate to manage library services in the country. I want to say it reaches a time where a country has to be developed by creating a culture, a reading culture, getting information. And that's how this bill is coming out to try to put a good legal services to do that. So it is very important that it is establishing this national body that has been given mandate to correct and store information in the country, such that if you want to refer to any information, you can go or you can walk to that library and get information. Also, compliance of the books that come out, especially into our schools, and also reading materials should be controlled by this library body. Also, it will promote research, because if you want to do any type of research, you can go to such kind of a library and do your research. And more important, the storage of biographies, periodicals, and any other information that is relevant, especially the culture and how the country is evolving. In this bill also, it has structured how the libraries will be funded, maybe by the parliament, and also levies collected and royalties. So it is a good bill. But also it is important to note that it is giving institutions a position where they can become members, like the counties, libraries can become members. If there is a constituency that has a library, they can become a member of this national library and corroborate to make sure that those particular institutions are rich. But also, it should have covered more on emerging issues, like, there are a lot of information that are currently read in the media, which I tend to think it has to be, we have to see a way of safeguarding that kind of information, especially when it comes a crime. It should be punishable. And also, it should give guide to the drifting nature of Kenyan languages towards Sheng and other languages that are not very clear. So I think it can be done to that. But also, I can also give advice. The trend now is towards small library. You don't have to create, for example, a national library, a very big one, like the biggest library in the world, that is the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., because the trend now is going towards the virtual, because you can store a book in a small disk. So the trend is going towards virtual reading. You can get e-books, you can get e-materials. There are those periodicals that are circulated in the media. So instead of making a large thing, you should also know where the trends are going towards, because you can read any type of a book, any material from at the comfort of your desk. And also encourage big personalities, especially the retired presidents of this country. What they do in the United States, when you retire, you create a library where you store a good information about what you did when you were president, and also the culture and what was going on when you are reading. So if you go to US, you'll find any retired president is associated with a certain library so that other people can go and read, especially those who want to be presidents in their country. So I support the bill.
Honorable Bayaya, member for Kilifi North.
Thank you, Speaker, for the opportunity. I would like to contribute to this bill and say that the knowledge economy is one of those economies that have continued to do well and have not let down economies. The library system, and you see, the Kenya National Library Service is not just a service, it's a system. It's a system that has both the physical libraries, the digital library, it has the mobile libraries, and it stores a lot of information. Now, this in itself, the library system, like in many other countries, is an economy of its own that helps to create very many jobs. And within that system, a lot of innovations and knowledge is created and generated. This helps a country to move faster, and its GDP actually grows just because of the library system. And many countries have developed this way. In the US, a lot of the states that are there have a library system that in itself actually contributes to the GDP of the country. So for us as a country to invest in the library, Kenya National Library Service, and make it a system, we will find that we will create jobs, we will create new knowledge, we will actually be able to store that knowledge and move the country forward. That is my first point. Again, if you ask ourselves how the Asian tigers left this country behind, and one of the responses that you will easily get is just because of knowledge, because of education, that they invested more in knowledge and education than probably we did. And therefore, they were able to make that big leap in their development while this country stayed behind. So an investment in the library is an investment in education. Any investment in education has very high returns. If you look at the Smithsonian studies, you'll actually find that the United States made a big leap forward in the economy just because of, when they did the studies, they realized that the only difference between them and other countries because they had invested a lot in education, and therefore they were able to develop the country faster than any other. So the library services provides an opportunity for knowledge to be taken to every part of this country. And if Kenya National Library Services, and in this bill, is encouraged to invest in the arts, in the sciences, and in all that, then many kids will be able to get knowledge and do very well. Myself, I am a very good beneficiary of the library system. I went to a primary school where there were no books, there was nothing to read. But the Kenya National Library Services, when I was in primary school, had a mobile library that came to that school once in a week, and you'd borrow 4 or 5 books, you read them, the next week they're there, you return, and they give you other books. And that service actually helped a lot of the people in my cohort, because in every of the schools that are neighboring, the mobile library would stop by and drop books, stop by and drop books and be able to come and pick them. And this helped a lot of children because this was a poor setup. But we were able to get books that we would not have gotten anywhere else because of the Kenyan Library. So I always thank the Kenyan Library. When I see their building there, I say, yeah, that is what made me who I am in many ways. And many kids now are missing that. And for a country, when we realize this and able to take these books, there are places. You've heard the MP for Turkana tell you. Probably there are people in Turkana who have never read a storybook. They have never seen science fiction. They have never seen these many series that are there. But if you have a mobile library, or Kenya National Library sets, you'll see the difference, a whole world of difference, because of the library in terms of education competencies and outcomes, because a library is available. Mr. Speaker, a library is also a repository of knowledge. Even a lot of our universities that are here are unable to be repository of knowledge and research because they don't have the system enabled. Today, I'm a member of several libraries, And I can go and Google and look for papers and look for information, researches that have been done, just because that library exists online. That is what we need. There's a lot of research that has been done in this country, a lot. Our culture, our science, and a lot of things. But just because there is nowhere to store them, you store them physically, and after 1 year, they've been all ripped apart by rats and other animals. But if we have a proper library system with a proper national repository, we'll be able to retrieve a lot of information that can be useful. A lot of knowledge, a lot of research is done in our universities, but it doesn't help many people because it's not available. We are unable to access knowledge. But a national repository, or a library repository, will help you get information about certain things in this country. Sometimes, you know, you can actually get information about this country in another country. But when you come to this country and look for it in Kenya, you'll not find it. But if you go to the library in my university, like Pennsylvania State University, you'll find it there. Because they have a good repository system which helps to store knowledge for many years. So, Mr. Speaker, I would encourage the Kenya National Library to look at that, develop a national repository so that we are able to see all the researches that have been done in this country, and these researchers can help us. That brings innovation. Innovation, Mr. Speaker. This country has lagged behind innovation. We have seen a little bit of innovation during the COVID time. And young people's minds have been juggled here and there, and they have produced something, and you've seen a lot of things. But with libraries, people go there to seek knowledge and look for information. They're able to use that information, that knowledge, to transform it into an innovative idea that can help this country move forward. So for me, Mr. Speaker, using this law that we want to pass in this House to reform the Kenya National Library system and services and ensure that they are accessible is one big step towards a rejuvenated knowledge economy. Mr. Speaker, I also want to add this. Libraries help to spur scholarship. Scholarship. You know, there are many people who want to invest in education and scholarship. They want to become scholars. But the absence of libraries makes it very difficult to develop sharp and content-based scholars in this country. We have a lot of scholars. I've seen scholars in this country that have used Google to write a lot of their papers. But it is also said, and a very popular saying, that go to Google, you will get 1,000 answers to the same question. Go to the library, you'll get the right answer. You'll get the right answer in a library. So what we have scholars in this country that are Google scholars. They only go to Google, look for information, copy, paste here and there, you know, and it cannot pass plagiarism tests. Why? Because they only go to the internet. But a proper library will actually help us get the right information in terms of literature review and all that, and therefore help this country so that our research in this country can be respected worldwide. You know, you can produce a lot of research that cannot be respected because it cannot pass the test of plagiarism, because we only go to internet and get information. But a good library will actually ground our research and make it world-known research, and we can be able to publish in world-renowned journals that actually will give our country. You know, we see a lot of when they rank universities, when they rank these universities in this world. The only university that you'll see just has come up a bit in Kenya, probably number 800 there, is the University of Nairobi. The other young universities that we have in this country cannot get there. Why? Because they don't have libraries to ground the researches that somebody does a literature review. I've seen this when I used to supervise. You know, the literature review that you see in this student is the one that you see in 20 other students. They have copied only one text. They have only read one text only. They have not read more than 5, 6, 7 texts. And you will see that in the bibliography, everybody, if you look at the list of bibliography, you see actually it's the same authors that they have all, you know, they have all highlighted. What does that tell you? It tells you that there's lack of adequate library materials. And therefore, we need not only to say Kenya National Library says, even our universities need the help. We need the help of the Kenya National Library Services to ensure that we have books and information that can help give good quality research and actually publications and theses that can not only be read here in Kenya, but you can go to Europe and actually you have somebody in Cambridge quoting or getting information from a thesis that has been published in Kenya. So, Mr. Speaker, this law is good, and we need to encourage it so that we can actually develop the education system. This country is implementing the CBC, the competence-based curriculum. Competence-based curriculum that does not have enough research repository will not help this country. But we need...
You'll have 1 more minute. Go on. You're done.
Okay, thank you.
No, if you're done, it's well. No, if you're done, the others who are waiting. Thank you. What you have done a very good presentation, and I've enjoyed your presentation. The Honorable Yusuf Halima.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me also rise to support the Kenya National Library Services Bill 2020. Honorable Speaker, a lot has been said, but I also want to add my voice and say that the establishment of the libraries across the country will help our youth to access information, Honorable Speaker. As one speaker said here, knowledge is power. It is true, Honorable Speaker, knowledge is power. I remember when I was growing up, when I was a young girl, there was a library near my school, and we used to visit the library, but those days we used to pay some registration fee. Honorable Speaker, I hope this time round the services will be free, because that will enable many people to access it. Honorable Speaker, this is a good bill. It is a good bill because down in the counties, there'll be more employment. We will have more empowerment at the grassroots. There'll be more development, because if we're establishing the libraries, that means more devote funds. So, Honorable Speaker, I really want to appreciate the author of this bill, Honorable Duale. It is a good one. And Honorable Speaker, it will also enable our youths to find a place of passing time. Instead of wasting a lot of time on drug abuse and alcohol abuse, they will have more time to study and do more things that will be helping them. Honorable Speaker, the libraries that we have at the grassroots are very old. They are still analog, because they're the ones that we used when we were growing up. So I hope this will happen sooner than we expect. This is an idea that is long overdue. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I support and thank you for the chance.
The Honorable Chanda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, having been to school, I can't fault anything to do with library. But, Mr. Speaker, I think this is one area where a lot needs to be done at the moment. If we go the colloquial way, the very old way of how things have been done, how library services have been run, then we are headed to a direction that may not be very useful to the country. Number one, Mr. Speaker, you see, libraries were more useful because many times we were looking at it, we were associating it with having a place or having a center where students can go and read. Where pupils or where their people want information can go and pick information. I think this has changed over time. This has changed over time. And we really want to understand, we really want to have to check. Now that we have libraries in schools, for example, there's a proper target. There's a proper target, students are there, and there's time for them to be the libraries, and they go for what they are actually looking for. In fact, many times nowadays, it's not very easy to get a student or anywhere looking for all manner of information. They go for their content, they look at what is the exams, the subjects that they are doing in school, and that's it. After that, and that includes generally most of the people in the country, after they are done with school, they are done with whatever level, they are done with the schools, they have nothing to do with the library. And I think this is something that is really the most painful thing. So if we still want to go the old way of doing buildings, doing construction, that we must have a library everywhere in every county and all that, I think something needs to be checked. One is that we have to really check in terms of whom are we targeting with what we are calling libraries? Who is the target? Because I don't think the target is any more students. The target must be somebody else. Must be somebody who either who have gone, have finished school, somebody who's looking for information. It must be, are we able to define that target that we are doing a library for? Otherwise, if we are not doing that, the libraries are going to be empty. They're not going to be servicing, offering any service that is useful. What is it that we are storing there? What is it that is pulling anybody to a library? What will pull me to a library in Bondo, for example, from my village, which is 40 or so kilometers away? What will be the drive? The Kenya Library Services must get this drive defined and must get it right. Otherwise, we are going to be doing this, we'll be talking about services, we'll be using resources, and these things are going not to be used the way they are supposed to be done. In school, it's very clear. Outside there, what is it? In church or in if you're talking about mosque, people go and they're very obedient, they're very faithful. That Sunday or Saturday or on a Friday of this kind of a time, they must go and there's a Bible and whatever. Once even in a week, they are very clear that there's a proper target. Who are we targeting when we're talking about the libraries? And that takes me to where I'm trying to bring in some suggestions that this board, the library board, must now be very clear in terms of what they want. One is, are we able to cross-match the library services with other services that are being offered by the government? Are we able to match library with archives? Are we able to merge libraries with museums? Are we able to merge libraries with the Huduma centers, for example? If we did that, then the whole idea, the direction that we're talking about libraries will make a lot more sense. That if you are not just going there, because the idea that we have, anybody who have been to school in this country know very well that if you're looking for proper information, you will not go to a public library. You will not get that information. So if that is still what we want to do, then I think we must reorganize this. We must check it again, such that we are clear with what we are stocking, we are clear with the target, who wants to go. Are we able, for example, when we are doing this, like the agricultural schools, agricultural training centers, can we, because the agricultural areas, people will be tempted to go for information in terms of how they do their agricultural business, how they do agricultural work. Then that drives somebody to the center. Are we able to look at these libraries towards that direction, where they're able to offer more relevant information and more clearer? Because really, students, in my view, in many places are no longer going for the libraries. Libraries don't stock what they do in school. So they go for what they stock. And then libraries initially was making a lot of sense because books and publications and all this were nowhere. Yeah, you could hardly get them. So library was offering that in a manner that was making sense then. But moving forward, I don't think that will be the direction, because there are many other places. Books are there. The people are able to buy from bookshops. People are able to get information from different alternative sources. So if that is happening and it's working, why then do we want to put more resources in building more libraries? So in my view, Mr. Speaker, the issue of a library as somebody who has gone to school is vital and is critical. But the direction where we are taking our libraries and library services must be rechecked if they are going to be useful. And the suggestions is we must really get away of how we interlock them. We interlock some of these quiet services that are closer to library, like the archives. Yeah? Nobody really knows what happens. But if we had every library, wherever they are, with the very serious archival sections, where you can go just for purposes of just checking. If one were to look for, let's say, a book that we were doing in school, the Practical English by Ogundipe, or looking at the books that I was doing, or you were doing at that particular time, a good population, and just have them, even if not for reading, but just for showing that no, these are the kind of things that we were doing when we were in this system of the first one where the primary was ending in class 8, we were doing CAPE and all the rest. Then the system was changed. These are the kind of books, just for purposes of showing what was happening with the education system. We might get more of this in the archives, but not more in the library. So in this direction, if we encourage library services to stock things that are now more related to archives, things that will drive people. People go to museums because there are certain things they want to see. There's some history, there's some cultural things that they want to see. And if we stocked all this together with the library services, I think that's when the library is going to make a lot of sense, in my view, Mr. Speaker. Things must change. We must redefine who wants to use the library, because I don't think the library services know who their target is. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Practical English by?
Ogundipe.
Ogundipe, yes, that one I remember. Thank you. I think you are on point. The Honorable Muregi Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this bill. Mr. Speaker, the National Library Service Bill, Mr. Speaker, will help a lot when this bill is passed and enacted, Mr. Speaker. Because most of the whole libraries, Mr. Speaker, some are not in operation, Mr. Speaker, and it's because of lack of management, Mr. Speaker. Then, Mr. Speaker, also, this service also will help a lot to improve the operation of the libraries within the counties and even within the sub-county level, Mr. Speaker, whereby nowadays, Mr. Speaker, most of the things have changed to digital, and Mr. Speaker, the way the bill is set, Mr. Speaker, it will promote the digital learning or the e-learning, Mr. Speaker, whereby you can access any material from the library at your comfort area, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, also, it will help to enrich the knowledge of our fellow young people, Mr. Speaker, whereby you can study maybe the culture of a certain community, Mr. Speaker, maybe the communication skills, Mr. Speaker, which were used then or in early age, Mr. Speaker, because currently, Mr. Speaker, those or the culture of some tribes, Mr. Speaker, the current generation, Mr. Speaker, are not able to understand what was happening then because many are not updated. But when the National Service or the Kenya National Library Service, Mr. Speaker, will be in operation, it will enable, Mr. Speaker, the comeback of this information so that at least the generation or the current generation, Mr. Speaker, can learn from it, Mr. Speaker. Also, Mr. Speaker, when all libraries, Mr. Speaker, will start operation, many of the young people from school, Mr. Speaker, will have somewhere to go and do their studies, Mr. Speaker. Because currently, Mr. Speaker, not many families, Mr. Speaker, who are able to buy computers or those smartphones, Mr. Speaker, for the students who are currently in universities, Mr. Speaker. But when we will have operational libraries, Mr. Speaker, within the county levels, Mr. Speaker, at least many young people will be able to get updated and also enrich their knowledge, Mr. Speaker, with the current things and what they are studying in the universities, Mr. Speaker. Also, Mr. Speaker, the revival of the libraries, Mr. Speaker, will help also to increase the number of employment of the people, Mr. Speaker, from the grassroots, Mr. Speaker, cognizant that, Mr. Speaker, many of the Kenyan young people, Mr. Speaker, are not employed. And when these libraries also will be operational, Mr. Speaker, will be the source of employment for the people who have already concluded their studies, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, also, there are some of the cultures, as I said, Mr. Speaker, of which were being practiced, but currently, Mr. Speaker, they are nowhere to be found now. So this service will help to equip those libraries, Mr. Speaker, with all those materials, Mr. Speaker, so that the people who are attending libraries can be updated or can have the information, Mr. Speaker. Also, Mr. Speaker, through the partnership with the county government, Mr. Speaker, we will be able to see many libraries coming up from the county level, Mr. Speaker. So it is a good bill, Mr. Speaker, which is supposed to be supported, Mr. Speaker, and passed. And when this bill is passed, Mr. Speaker, it is good also to be operationalized, Mr. Speaker, so that at least those libraries can start working. With those, Mr. Speaker, I beg to support. Thank you.
Very well. Honorable members, 44 members have spoken to this bill so far, and there's still interest in it. I see the Honorable Mboko Amisi, member for Likoni, is still here. The Honorable Gal Bashane, member for Tabach. The Honorable Njiru Mushangi is still here with an interest. You'll have an opportunity to speak to it the next time it is set down for consideration. The Honorable Chanda, thank you for, and the Honorable Bunyasi, of course. The Honorable Bunyasi has been here with us, the member for Nambale, and I'm sure he had very interesting things to say about how we want to do our library system in this country. The Honorable Chanda, thank you for reminding me about that book, Practical English, by the great Ogundipe. Honorable members, the time being 9 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Thursday, 25th February 2021 at 10 a.m.